If you're young, you have this incredibly powerful natural energy inside you. And that energy can either build an empire or it can lead to endless distraction. So today, we're going to dive deep into a framework from educator Avad Oja on how to get it under control.
Right off the bat, the source material gets straight to the point, tackling the topic of sex head-on. You know, this intense energy, this drive that really defines your youth, it's completely normal. And that's the key thing to get. It's not something to be ashamed of. Just acknowledging it, that's step one.
And here's the follow-up, the big question. Okay, it's one thing to have this energy. It's a whole other thing to be ruled by it. So you have to ask yourself, are you the master of this force, or are you its slave?
Now, before we can even think about controlling this energy, we've got to understand what it actually is. And the source is really clear on this. This is not some personal flaw you have. No, it's a fundamental, powerful stage of being human. It's as natural as anything else.
This is such a simple but brilliant way to think about it. For a little kid, the strongest desire in their whole world might be for a piece of chocolate. But when you hit your youth, a totally new, powerful hormonal energy just takes over. That question mark, that represents a drive that is so much more intense than a craving for candy.
So, if this energy is that powerful, what are you supposed to do with it? Well, this is where we get to the core idea of the whole framework. It all comes down to one word: conversion. This isn't about crushing the energy or getting rid of it. It's about transforming it.
You see, the crucial point is this. Think of this energy like a raging river. If you just let it go, it can flood everything and cause total chaos. But if you build a dam, if you channel it, that exact same force can power an entire city. It's all about where you point it.
Get this number in your head: 10,000 crore rupees. That's over $1 billion US. And you're probably thinking, what on earth does that have to do with anything we're talking about? Well, according to the source, this is what Baba Ramdev's empire is worth. And it's used as a real-world example of what can happen when that internal energy is converted and channeled into a single vision. So this slide just lays it out, plain and simple. You've got two paths. On one side, you have someone who mastered this internal energy and literally converted it into a massive enterprise. And on the other, you have what happens to most of us. That same energy, left to run wild, just becomes a source of constant distraction. It really highlights the immense potential that is either used or wasted. And this is where we get to the real heart of the matter. The source argues that the energy itself, that river of power, it's not the problem. The real deciding factor is the state of your mind.
This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. See, if your mind just reacts to every little impulse, every fleeting desire that pops into your head, it's not in charge. Your senses are. You've basically become a passenger in your own body, not the pilot.
So there's this story of a student who kept running out of class, telling everyone he felt an earthquake coming. But here's the thing. There was no earthquake. His mind was so weak, so uncontrolled, that it was literally creating its own false reality and making him act completely against his own best interests.
Okay, so if that's the mind as a slave, what does a mastered mind look like? Well, the source holds up one historical figure as the absolute gold standard for young people: the revolutionary Bhagat Singh.
You know, when his family was pushing him to get married, this was his response: I cannot marry. Why? My mother, and he meant his motherland, India, is enslaved. A higher purpose had completely taken over. It overshadowed a normal, powerful desire like marriage, because his personal energy was already converted and invested somewhere else.
And the proof of his mental mastery, it's just astounding. In the days before he was executed, he wasn't wasting away with fear. He actually gained weight. He wasn't begging for his life. He was asking for just a little more time to finish the book he was reading. All of that powerful, youthful energy was laser-focused on one single goal.
And when you put it side by side like this, it just puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? The mastered mind is focused on a higher purpose, it gets its strength from ideas, and it leaves a legacy. The enslaved mind is just governed by the senses. It's driven by impulse, and in the end, it just leads to personal frustration.
So we've talked a lot about the internal battle, but what does this mastery actually look like on the outside? In our final section, let's look at the results and talk about what the source calls true glow. There's this funny but really telling story about a student who had put a turmeric and honey face pack all over his face. When he was asked why, he said it was to get a glow.
And this just perfectly highlights a modern confusion. We mistake a superficial external fix for the real source of personal power and charisma.
Because that real charisma, that true glow, it's not something you can just apply to your skin. It radiates from the inside out. It's the natural result of a strong mind, of deep knowledge, and of a clear, focused purpose. That's the glow of real power, not a face pack.
And this brings us right to the bottom line of this entire framework. That restless, powerful energy of youth is not your enemy. It's not the problem. It's your greatest asset. The real problem is a weak mind. A mind without a goal big enough to consume and direct all of that incredible energy.
So this isn't just some interesting theory. It's a challenge. It's a question for you. You have this raw power, this incredible natural resource inside you right now. The only question left is, where are you going to invest it?